Good morning, folks, and como estas? Welcome to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real, bringing you another edition of the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. Now, we're really excited and we're really pumped up for this episode because now we're one away. We've been doing a countdown for the last few weeks, one away from our 100th episode of the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. So, for all of our crew out there, keep that in mind because we'd love a lot of you to call in. Give us your feedback, your cuts, your takes on the sports world. Next Thursday, again, taping around 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So get with us, make that show just a fabulous show. Either way, we're going to make it fabulous. So moving on with that, we have today's show we got to conduct, and we're going to jump right in with the Winter Olympics. Now, the big news, of course, is Shaun White, the snowboard phenom. He did not medal this year. Now, there's so many avenues we could take about this, but we're going to look at our cut at this way. The guy has been the best snowboarder for a decade, if not longer. I mean, this guy has been the only name that you could probably name in snowboarding. And for him not to medal this year, he did have a few falls on his runs. It's kind of okay, in my opinion. I mean, he's the Tiger Woods of snowboarding. He's the Michael Jordan of snowboarding. So at some point, I mean, I believe he's in his mid to late 20s now, 26, 27, somewhere around there. The guy cannot be on the top of his game forever, just like Tony Hawk. At some point, the younger group, the younger crowd that looked up to him are going to be the ones that are moving up and doing the sickest tricks ever on the planet. But as for right now, Shaun White, yes, he did not medal, but I guarantee you, if anyone had to pick one person to start their snowboard team on for freestyle events, he's going to be the main guy. And so we have no problem with him. He represented his country, us, very well. I believe he's won the last 3 gold medals in the Olympics. I mean, come on, the guy is the godfather of snowboarding. And we're going to just leave it at that. Good job, Snow White. We appreciate all the medals. We appreciate all the memories. And if you want to go play in your band and get away from snowboarding for a while, that's your decision, your choice. Real fans will back you up and support you. Now, moving on from that, we have to say the men's hockey's looking really well. They just smacked down a team. I'm not sure what country it is. We're not paying real close attention to a lot of these events because to me it just seems like if you watch this games in Russia, it doesn't have the same feel as the last maybe 2 or 3 Olympics have had. Seems like everyone that's watching these or going to these events are from Russia. They're all the main. You don't see a lot of diversity, I should say, in the crowd. And so it's just kind of hard to really get into this Olympics with all of the terrorist drama and all that stuff. But anyway, Americans hockey's doing very well. Smacked someone down, I believe 7-1 last night, and they're going up against Russia, I believe, tonight. So hopefully they'll take it to them as well. Now, with that in mind, we have women's hockey going down right now. They seem to be doing fairly well. And then it just seems like in the freestyle slope event, we had a couple of Americans that should have been dominating, and you just got to feel bad for these young kids, whether they're Americans or not. Imagine training for years to get your opportunity to get in the big stage of the Olympics and then have a fall or just a small little mistake on the course and it costs you a medal, especially if you were in the top 2, gold or silver. So you just feel so bad for these kids that have trained so hard and they've put everything out there and they've done their best. And that's why I just want to do a quick little tribute to all of the events and all of the athletes in these Winter Olympics and just say thank you all for great performances. Thank you all for bringing your A game every day, every practice, and putting it out there for us to be entertained. I appreciate it. All of us here at Average Joe and the crew, I'm sure I speak for you all. We can't say enough in appreciation to all the events and athletes. So moving on from the Olympics, which it's still another week of events going on and continuing on, so everyone can pay attention more as the next week goes on. But we got to move on to some basketball news, NBA. Right now, Durant is, I mean, this guy just scored 43 points the other night. This guy's playing ball out of his mind. And to have freaking LeBron James jock sniffers continually just rant and rave that LeBron is still the MVP this year, it's ridiculous. Yes, he had a great game the other night where he scored the last second three-point shot. Great for you, LeBron. The problem is Durant is doing it every single night, averaging over 30 points a game. They have the best record right now in Oklahoma City in the NBA, and it's because of Durant. Westbrook's not even playing. He's doing it on his own. Come on, people. Pull your noses out of LeBron's butt for 5 minutes to look around and see there's other amazing players right now doing some great things in the NBA. So with that said, we have to talk a little bit about LeBron's comment saying that he would be on his Mount Rushmore of NBA best players of all time. And we have to say, of course he would say that. This is a guy that sold his soul, sold his legacy to go win championships in Miami instead of staying in Cleveland, where eventually he had to pay his dues, and he was paying them, still going to championships and playing in championships. They were this close. They were this close to getting a couple more pieces to where LeBron James could have took his team in the Cleveland Cavaliers to the promised land and won maybe 1 or 2 championships. But instead, he got tired of waiting. He got tired of trying to pay dues, which every single athlete in the NBA, superstar, history-wise, had to do it. Magic Johnson had to go through it. Michael Jordan had to do it. Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. All these guys had to do it. They had to pay their dues and work their way with their team and develop a team with the athletes and the superstars and the surrounding cast to where they could go win a championship and then, of course, maybe win 1, 2, or 3 or more. Michael Jordan, for instance. But no, LeBron James couldn't wait. He wanted that instant championship right then, right now. He knew his legacy was on the line, and he sold it to go to a Dwayne Wade championship team and basically cherry pick off of him and that team there in Miami Heat to win championships. So again, with that said, LeBron James, you would not doubt that this guy with 2 rings would say that he's one of the best 5 players of all time. That's ridiculous. It's actually insulting. Don't get me wrong. I think LeBron James is a phenomenal player, and he could be one of the top 5 players of all time, possibly at the end of his career. But right now, he's nowhere near that. He's not even close to it. And everyone wants to throw out stats, and everyone wants to throw out, all this bull crap. But folks, what you keep forgetting is the man went straight from high school to the NBA. So he has 2 to 3 years of stats and points and all the stuff over all these other athletes, because you know what? All the great ones went to college. All the great ones from the history went to college for 2 to 3 years. He didn't, so he has an advantage on that avenue as well. So we're not going to kiss his butt, and we're not going to say he's the greatest of all times, because he's not. He has many years to play, and at the end of the time, if he does show that he has heart, if he does show that he has competitive person inside of him, then I would change my opinion on it. But for right now, my opinion is he's not the top 5. He would not be on my Mount Rushmore of NBA players. So let us know. Give us your feedback and comment. Let us know who are your top 5 NBA players and which ones would be on your Mount Rushmore of all-time greats in the NBA. We'd love to hear it, okay? So moving on from that, we have to go on to, it's pretty pathetic that the Chicago Bulls are still dealing with their thorn in their side, their Achilles heel, whatever you want to call it. It's just phenomenal that their superstar on their team, who's been injured for months, and I believe got injured in November, and Rose just can't seem to pull his head out of his butt. So you have Derrick Rose, one of the best point guards of all time, supposedly, or was going to be, and he's been injured year after year for the last 2 years. And instead of the man coming out saying, I'm coming back from injury, I should be on the court for my team soon so we can face the Heat, so we can face the Spurs, so we can face Indiana, whoever it is, we're going to take him out. Instead, he's going on record, quote, saying that he wants to play for the Olympics this coming year. All we could say is we don't want to see Derrick Rose play for the Bulls. We don't want to see Derrick Rose play for the Olympics. We're kind of done with Derrick Rose. Ever since we saw him sitting on his freaking butt, watching his team battle it out last year in the playoffs against Miami Heat, and he could have helped them win, or at least helped them do better. No, what does he do? He sits on his butt and just watches them battle and doesn't give two craps about him. This is all we're going to say about Derrick Rose. He has no heart. He has no competitive nature whatsoever in his body, and he's getting paid millions of dollars to sit on the bench. So if we were at Chicago Bulls power, we would trade this guy, get a couple of picks, do something, because this guy's never going to be anything what they hope he will be. And with that, we have to move on from the NBA as well, because we have some other news, and that is Richie Incognito just got blasted with the official report that came out of Miami with the independent investigators saying that Incognito was being a bully, was being racial towards Martin, and they basically kicked him under the bus. Everything they said that Martin was upset and hurt about and felt threatened about is true. Now there's two avenues, there's two ways we could look at this. One way is Incognito already said that he had said a lot of mean things and that he was a certain way with Martin, but that's because they were friends, and Martin did the same thing back to him. So when I looked at the report, it's kind of like, okay, well, he already said that he said all these things, that he threatened his life, that he threatened to, do stuff to his sister and his mother and blah, 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 whatever. But then Martin was saying the same things in response, being very rude, very racial, very aggressive, very threatening. So I don't know if this report is just kind of going off saying, yeah, he did say all these things. This is our conclusion. He did do all these things. But what's the context? What is the manner in which these conversations were exchanged? Was Martin really a threatened victim, or was he a participant in a crazy relationship, friendship? Report doesn't say that. It just blasts Incognito as being like this racist bully, but from all testimonies and all accounts from his other teammates, that's not him. I don't know, folks. This is pretty weird, but the report is out. You can go check it out online on the web. See for yourselves all of the information about that, but who knows? It's going to be very weird. And then also going forward, we have to say that the Super Bowl took place a few weeks ago, and everyone's been blasting the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. And we're not going to jump on the wagon there and do the same thing. We're just going to have to say that now it's going to be very difficult for Denver to win any big games. They are not going to go on a 12-game winning streak next season, and I don't mean streak as far as in a row, but they are not going to win 12 games next year. They're not going to win 12 games with Peyton Manning, period, anymore, because Seattle has put out the vital information to show how to beat up and just totally embarrass the Broncos, which is to take Peyton Manning out of the game. And how do you do that? You do it by pressure. If Peyton Manning has no time to throw the ball, he's going to throw those 2- and 3-yard little bullcrap passes because he doesn't want to get hit. And again, like I said, I don't think it's that he doesn't want to get hit. He knows he can afford to get hit. One big blow and the guy's in a wheelchair for life. And this is the part of the game that gets me so frustrated is 20 years ago, Peyton Manning is not playing in the NFL. You know why? Because back then the rules were to where a defensive player could rip a quarterback's head off if given the chance, and it wasn't not only a $50,000, $130,000, $1 million fines and suspensions and everything else. It was a pat on the back from your fellow teammates and screams from the fans seeing blood on the field. That's what football fans like to see. That's what we want to see. But in today's football, a guy with broken neck and surgeries and everything else, he can get away with playing quarterback in this NFL. But with that said, he also knows he can't take a big hit. So, the blueprint's out there. Denver, you're in a big mess because now that people know how to beat you, people know what to do as far as jamming up receivers and knocking them off routes, not giving Peyton Manning a time to eat a 4 or 5 course meal in the pocket before he throws a pass, Denver, you're going to have to figure it out how you're going to get something done, because with Peyton Manning now behind center, I just feel you're going to go downhill from here. And I could be wrong, folks. Leave your feedback and comment. Tell me what you think. Am I full of crap? Or am I onto something where Peyton Manning is going to be a hindrance to the Denver Broncos over the next 2 seasons if he remains with Denver? Because one, he's going to want the offense to run through him, which we already know is not his plan for success. And two, because people and other teams have seen what you can do to the Denver Broncos to just totally lock them down, which is taking Peyton Manning out of his game. It's going to be very difficult for Denver to win maybe 7, 8 games. We'll just see. Time will tell if I'm full of crap or not, but that's my opinion. Leave us feedback and comment on that as well. And we'd love to hear and be interested in knowing what you feel about Denver and their chances of getting back to the Super Bowl. Now, moving on with that, we have to say we also feel that Seattle is going to come nowhere near the Super Bowl next year. Why? Because because of free agency, anytime a team wins Super Bowl, a la Ravens, a la Green Bay, a la, the New England Patriots, and even the Steelers over the last few years, once a team wins a Super Bowl with free agency, the next season, every player that was on the Super Bowl team wants to make $20 million a year, and it just can't happen. It cannot happen. You cannot pay those salaries to every player. So that defense is going to get dismantled. All the key players that are going to be free agents next year are going to want the highest amount of money, and teams are going to offer it up. But it's not going to be Seattle. It's going to be other teams are going to offer those big paydays. So the team is going to get broken up, and there'll be left a core guys. There might be left a core group of guys, half the team. And I'm going to tell you right now, Seattle fans, half that team is not going to win the Super Bowl next year. Doesn't matter who you bring on, because you have to acclimate, you have to gel. Now, does that mean maybe down the road in 3 or 4 or 5 years it can't happen again? It could be, but it ain't going to be next year. Who is it going to be next year? I'm going to sit right here on a limb and say I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco is there again. Why? Because they're a Super Bowl quality team. They were a quarter away from beating Seattle, and if they would have beat Seattle, they would have done the same thing to the Broncos as Seattle did to the Broncos. So your 49ers would be Super Bowl champs right now. But they blew it. They let Seattle stay in the game. They made some crucial mistakes at the end of that game, and they had to watch the Super Bowl from the couch, just like you and I. But next year's a fresh year. They got the same players, they got the same hunger, and if even more hunger, because they were this close to getting to that Super Bowl. So they're going to have the eye of the tiger, they're going to be hungry, and they're going to feel their thing. They're just this close away from making that step to the Super Bowl. So don't be surprised if one team in the Super Bowl isn't the San Francisco 49ers. That's our pick for as far as that side goes. Now, we're always going to hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the Super Bowl, but we also have to say we have to be realistic and be fair and true to our crew and our viewers and say they have a lot of rooms and a lot of areas to fill in before that'll even be close to happening. But we're going to be rooting for them. We can keep our fingers crossed and pray that the Steelers make some adjustments, just like all of you out there that have your own teams are going to wish and hope and cross your fingers that your teams make the adjustments to get to the big game. Now, with that said, I got to really quick go to our sponsors. Again, we have the Player Zone. Hook us up with all the cool sports cards, memorabilia, and amazing comic books. They got Pokemon, they got Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering. As a matter of fact, every Friday they have Friday Night Magic. They're located at 2117 Sudrith in Ruidoso, New Mexico. You can also contact them at 575-257-0559. Again, that's the Player Zone. And in conjunction with them, we got Freestyle Jewelry. Again, they hook us up with some cool gold. It's called Gold Field Jewelry. It's just a very, very high-end way, a new way of making jewelry and having gold without the high gold prices. So if you're interested, also hit the Player Zone up. They can do, if you want to have a rapper's chain, if you want a nice, cool bracelet, they'll figure it out. You just get in touch with the Player Zone. They'll get you in contact with the right people for Freestyle Jewelry. And then we got Freestyle Productions, which is doing, again, all the No Bully campaign, and we'll get into that in a second. They do videos for weddings, birthday parties, and even right now they're doing virtual home realty videos, helping locals that are trying to sell their homes, and instead of just taking a quick little grainy picture, actually putting your home on the net in a video format. Can't beat it. You want to sell a home, hit them up. Freestyle Productions. Also can contact them through the Player Zone. And then we got Seeping Springs, or RV campground. Let me back that up. We got Seeping Springs RV Park and Campgrounds, where you can go get your fishing on when it's supposed to be 70 degrees here in Ruidoso. It's amazing. So hit them up there on the highway down in the Downs, right off Highway 70. Look for the big fish. And then we can't say enough about also Gonzo jerseys. I mean, the guy can get the freshest jerseys. Tell him you saw the advertisement on our show, and he'll hook you up with $50 for a jersey. I mean, any style, brand, name. He has multiple brands for the same teams. Can't say enough. You want to contact the Jersey guy, Gonzo Jerseys, you can contact him at 575-808-0892. But for that, I think, we could spend all day talking to you about what's going on in the sports world right now. But we just picked a few topics, and we hope you enjoyed them. Give us feedback and comment, and let us know what you think. But for right now, we're going to let you go enjoy the weekend. Can't say enough. Don't forget, get with us and get involved in the No Bully, Why Bully Be a Friend campaign. We got to stop the bullying. You can write at P.O. Box 1942, Capitan, New Mexico 88316. Tell us your story, or if you don't want to be on the, you don't want us to mention your name, that's fine. We can mention your story without using your name. Or if you just want to get a No Bully sticker to put in your car, house, business, say, hey, we are putting a fight up against the bully, because it's just crazy. Losing our kids, our youth, over something so ridiculous as bullying, just no need for it. But right now, J Real, signing out. We'll see you next week. Peace and much love. Have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day to all you lovers out there in the world.
It's